welcome to the deep dive. You know, for you, the professional trucker, you are navigating just one of the most volatile economic stretches we've seen in decades.
It's an environment defined by, well, a lot of pain and suffering for many drivers, especially owner-operators dealing with these razor-thin margins.
It really is. We're seeing these huge systemic risks, from major carrier collapses to regulatory crackdowns. And so our mission today is really to cut through all that noise.
But volatility doesn't have to mean vulnerability. The knowledge we've pulled together today, I think, is your strategy. It's your shield.
And our sources reveal these two big narratives that are kind of intertwined. First, this massive, unavoidable push for higher safety standards.
And second, the absolute necessity for every driver to build financial stability that doesn't rely, solely on freight rates.
Exactly. We want to give you the knowledge to stay safe, stay compliant, and ultimately retire on your terms, not when some economic headwind forces you out.
Think of it this way. Your CDL is the foundation, right? But the strategy and the knowledge, that's the walls and the roof. That's what protects you from the storm.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with what was, a seismic shockwave. The one that just proved no company is too big to fail. The collapse of 10 Roads Express.
Staggering news. Absolutely staggering. And precisely because of who 10 Roads was. They were not some fly-by-night operation.
No, they were one of the biggest contractors for the U.S. Postal Service. For years, that USPS contract was the definition of rock solid.
That was the gold standard?
Absolutely. The idea was government contracts mean guaranteed miles. And yet 10 Roads announced they are shutting down. We're talking over 2,600 drivers and nearly 2,500 trucks affected.
It just shatters that illusion of the steady trucking job.
So why did they collapse?
Okay.
Because what's crucial here, from the sources, is that it wasn't even bad management.
No, not at all. It was a strategic decision by their main customer, the USPS, to just fundamentally change their entire hauling strategy.
A huge shift. So USPS used to rely on these long-term stable contracts. What did they change to?
They decided to take more hauling in-house and, this is the critical part, began outsourcing the rest of their freight through brokers.
So they moved to the spot market. If you're 10 Roads, your steady revenue just disappears.
It gets slashed. The result was a devastating 70% drop in revenue for them. And for the thousands of drivers, the impact was immediate and, frankly, brutal.
And the lesson for you, the individual driver, is crystal clear. Relying on one customer or even one carrier tied to a few big customers. It's a huge risk. It's a lack of personal control.
And that lack of stability, that economic pressure, it almost seems to feed right into the next big story, this massive safety crackdown.
That's the perfect connection. Does desperation, lead to companies cutting corners, which then leads to the safety issues the Arkansas Trucking Association is flagging?
It seems like it. The instability creates this desperate demand for bodies behind the wheel. And when that meets these regulatory loopholes, you get a system failure. The ATA sounded a major alarm after a string of fatal crashes involving drivers who really should never have had a CDL.
And they specifically called out something called a non-domiciled CDL. For anyone who's not familiar with that jargon, what exactly is that loophole?
Well, a non-domiciled CDL is supposed to be for someone who lives outside the U.S. but needs to drive here commercially. The problem, as the ATA pointed out, is that some states, like California, were allegedly issuing these with much less stringent verification.
So like a backdoor into the industry.
Essentially, yes. A backdoor for foreign nationals who might not have legal residency or are testing under, let's just say, questionable circumstances.
The ATA didn't just complain. They went straight to the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, with a formal action plan.
They did. Their demands are very specific. 1, stricter verification for all CDL applicants, especially non-domiciled ones. 2, national data sharing to flag fraud across state lines.
And accountability for the states that are dropping the ball.
Exactly. Accountability. This isn't just about safety. It's about protecting the integrity of the license that every legitimate professional driver worked so hard for.
And this is where we have to look at it from all angles.
Yeah.
Like Hervey from Life, as a trucker always says, you have the trucking companies desperate for drivers, maybe benefiting from loose standards.
But then they pay the price, a fatality happens, and you're looking at massive lawsuits, reputation destroyed. It's a lose-lose-lose.
Then you have the real CDL holders who are just frustrated. They see these ghost drivers and feel like the whole profession is being stained.
And we also have to acknowledge the advocacy groups who worry that a crackdown could unfairly target immigrants who are trying to do things the right way.
Right, there has to be a balance.
But the perspective that cuts through all of it, is the victims' families. Their loved one is gone because someone unqualified was driving an 80,000-pound vehicle. For them, the only thing that matters is competence.
And that push for competence is now showing up at the federal level as a systematic cleanup. The DOT recently put Colorado squarely in the spotlight for, quote, systemic issues with these non-domiciled CDLs.
Yeah, that led to a huge recheck. Nearly 1,700 licenses were suddenly put under federal review. That's a lot of careers just hanging in the balance because of lax standards somewhere down the line.
And the scrutiny isn't just on the states, it's going after the training schools themselves. A federal audit found that over 40% of CDL schools in the country might be out of compliance.
40%.
That's almost half. What were they doing wrong? Was it just like falsifying hours?
It's a mix, but the sources suggest it's mainly the rise of what you could call a paper-pushing diploma mill. You know, schools promising a CDL in 2 weeks without the real behind-the-wheel instructions.
Speed over safety.
Exactly, and that era is ending. The standards are tightening everywhere.
Which, this might sound tough for the industry, but for you, the legitimate driver, this is long-term good news.
Yeah.
Fewer licensed drivers, stricter rules. That should mean higher demand and better pay for the pros.
And we're already seeing states roll out blueprints for this. Look at Colorado's DOT, CDOT. They're putting in a strict ban on commercial vehicles in the left lane on certain steep grade stretches, like on I-70.
And that's not arbitrary. That's directly tied to safety on dangerous roads, trying to prevent runaway truck situations. Violate that now, and it's a guaranteed citation.
They're also revamping winter ops with more plows, 24/7 maintenance, but that only helps you if your truck is winter ready. If you're slacking on pre-trips, you'll still be stuck at the chain-up station.
And they're using tech, too. Autonomous work zone trucks. It's like a giant reminder that you need to treat every work zone like you're being filmed. Because you probably are.
Here's where it gets really interesting. This push for compliance isn't just about speed and logs, it goes all the way down to truck aesthetics.
The mods. The Wisconsin State Patrol recently made news by pulling over a rig specifically for having illegal green eye lights visible through the windshield.
Now, every driver knows customization is part of the culture. You live in that cab, you want it to reflect your personality.
Of course. But you have to know the legal lines. And the rule is crystal clear. Front-facing lights have to be white or amber, green, blue, red. Those are for emergency vehicles only.
So here is really the liability, isn't it? That cool little green light is basically an invitation for a full DOT inspection.
That's the first problem. But the bigger problem is if you get into an accident. I guarantee you, the lawyers for the other side will seize on that illegal lighting. They will use it as evidence of reckless operation.
They'll argue you were deliberately operating a non-compliant vehicle.
And your credibility is shot. You worked too hard and spent too much money for your CDL to risk it over a $30 light mod. Keep the style, but keep it legal. Now, on the positive side of professionalism, the ATA is pushing Congress to tap into the ultimate source of disciplined professionals to help with the driver shortage, our veterans.
This is a really smart strategic move. They're asking Congress to recognize military driving experience as valid commercial experience, expand training access through the GI Bill.
And crucially, remove those state-level licensing delays that slow everything down for veterans returning.
The implication is clear. The industry is actively looking for that discipline, that training, that mental toughness that veterans already have. It's a sign that true professionalism is a valuable commodity.
And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? If you connect the volatility of 10 roads, the CDL crackdowns, the strict new rules, it all leads to one conclusion for the driver.
You have to build a financial shield.
This is the part that should really be on your mind. You need to manage your time, not just for shippers or dispatchers, but for yourself. You have to build that parachute before the plane starts to stall.
And when you're driving 70 hours a week, that can feel impossible. Like, where is the time? But the sources highlight that the key is using technology and that off-duty time smarter.
Yeah, we're not talking about hustling for more loads. We're talking about creating extra recurring streams of income that work for you even when the wheels aren't turning.
And the resources we looked at emphasize two key strategies that are really well suited for the over-the-road life.
Okay, what are they?
First, using AI tools to create income. This sounds technical, but it's not. You, as a driver, have a ton of unique knowledge. Route difficulties, maintenance tips.
Right.
You can use voice-activated AI apps during your mandated breaks to turn those daily thoughts into structured content, a blog, a short guide, without ever having to type a word.
That's smart. The biggest barrier is the typing, the editing.
Yeah.
But if you can just talk during a fuel stop and let AI structure it, that changes the game. You're creating a digital asset that earns money while you sleep.
Exactly. Which leads right into the second strategy, learning skills like affiliate marketing. And this doesn't mean becoming some famous YouTuber, it's much simpler.
So how would that work for a trucker?
Let's say you find a great new tire pressure monitor or some cool organizational tool for your cab. You make a quick 60-second video on your phone during a pre-trip. You share the link to that product.
And then you earn a commission every time someone buys it through your link.
Precisely. It's low time commitment, it's focused, and it fits the life you're already living.
And that money, even if it starts small, becomes that shield. It lets you retire when you want to. It softens the blow if your company goes under and gives you the leverage to find the right job, not just any job.
The ultimate takeaway here is so powerful. Your CDL is a high-value tool, absolutely, but true freedom, that requires building skills and income streams that don't depend on a steering wheel. That's how you take back control.
So to tie it all together, the industry is demanding higher levels of professionalism and safety. And those drivers, they deserve respect and stability.
And that respect often comes from your own financial security. When you're not desperate for the next load, when you have that financial shield, you can demand better terms. You can walk away from an unsafe situation. You can protect your career.
So what does this all mean? If the road is getting tougher, requiring more professionalism than ever, and the industry is still bleeding good drivers because of this instability, what new level of influence and respect can you command once you've secured your own future with skills and income that run 24/7, even when the wheels aren't turning?
You move from being a contractor who is dependent on outside forces to an indispensable professional who dictates the terms. And that's the real freedom the road is supposed to promise.